Coming up on today's DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast, we're not worried so much that Sam doesn't have a home, but we're going to have to talk about it. But more importantly, the NHL.com position rankings came out a week ago, and we have a chance to talk about where your Dallas Stars are on that list and if it's the right size. Then, can Logan Stankoven win the Calder Trophy this year as the Rookie of the Year in the NHL? And boy, do we have story time with Luds again, his favorite Ludscapades. All that and more coming up right now on the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast.
But in case you missed what happened on our DLLS podcast yesterday, here's a little preview.
Downloading the app is very user-friendly. It's going to be very simple, even for folks like Luds who struggle with technology.
And I don't know why the cooler's over by you.
I think they said my slap shot was like 110, perfect accuracy, something like that. I can't remember the
Oh,
details.
I knew this was a bunch of shit as soon as he started talking. I didn't even sneak in. Like, I didn't care. What are you
He
gonna
just
do?
walked
Punish
right
me
in.
and sit me out tomorrow night's game?
I've seen a different side of Mexico City.
I've seen a different side. I've seen behind the curtain, so to speak, literally and figuratively.
It is September the 4th. This is the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. We are live today from our podcast studio after yesterday's show in the lounge with our first guest, Stars President and CEO Brad Alberts. We hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't catched it yet, go to the YouTube channel, go to any of the audio streaming platforms, and catch that interview with Brad, Luds, Sam, and myself. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that supports us. Join the chat. Give us your impressions and thoughts of each segment. We will gladly go in there. Don't forget the Discord. We'll get into that a little bit more later. And we appreciate your support as we're now right in the middle of week 2 of our new podcast and show. And we hope that you'll stick around for a long time to come, because guess what? In less than 3 weeks' time, we have hockey games. And maybe by then, Sam will have a place to live in Dallas. What the heck happened yesterday?
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't be easy because this all came together in, 2 weeks. But I had an apartment ready to go. I was supposed to move in either today or tomorrow. And then they said, it's probably not going to be ready till like the 9th. And I said, that's probably not going to work because I don't have anywhere else to live. So if anybody knows of a place, feel free.
But you're getting offers, aren't you?
I'm getting offers.
Must be the haircut.
I don't know. Must be. I have guest
Clean
rooms.
cut.
Someone told me I can go under this bridge over here and help people park and very nice people around here.
Well, we hope that you are able to find lodging in these very wet and rainy conditions that Dallas has needed for months. But
We're not talking about our parking spots right now.
no, I don't
Or
think
another
so.
show.
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could. But anyway, today's show, we are going to talk about whether or not we think Logan Stankoven can win the Calder Trophy as the NHL's Rookie of the Year. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're bringing back Ludscapades. We haven't come up with a better name yet. I know Luddy really loves that.
There's got to be a more masculine title for that. That was your thing, right?
Oh,
I think that was all John, our producer. So
Look at the pictures, too.
yeah, look at that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was that's prime playing days Luds right there.
That's not even a word, though. Let's come up with something.
All right, well, hey, join the chat
yeah.
if you
Please.
want
Yes.
a better
let's do that.
name than the Ludscapade story time. Hit us up. We are open for business on that. But
Hey, and if we use it, they can come to the party. We're gonna have a party here at some point for our what's it called again? The damn channel?
Discord.
Damn Discord party. We're gonna have a party at some point for all of our Discord dollies.
so it's going to be a lot of fun. But first, the NHL.com rankings came out about a week and a half ago, and it was something that we wanted to touch on, but things got busy, and actually we were going to do it last week, and some tragedies happened. But for the Dallas Stars, 4 players were on those position rankings, and we had a segment last week about Jake Oettinger being the 4th highest American on those current rankings via the NHL.com writers poll that they put together. And I thought it was a good segment. We were talking about whether or not he'd make Team USA for the upcoming, not global series, but the Big Four tournament that they are having, the Four Nations in lieu of the All-Star break this year. So let's start with the top of that. Jason Robertson is number 6 on wingers. Does Jason Robertson, A, belong that high on wingers, and B, is he on Team USA for the Four Nations as it stands right now?
Ooh, take it.
Yeah, I think he's on Team USA 100%. I think you can't ignore what he's done over the past few years. He had the huge year here in Dallas when they exploded out of the gates. I think he's a top 5 guy in my opinion. And what's funny is he, along with I believe the rest of the list of stars, all went down 1 or 2 notches from their previous ranking last season, which is interesting. Maybe.
Do you think that fits with the whole DeBoer model last year, which was a little bit less individually for a lot more as a team?
Yeah, I think so. I think that everyone took a dip, right? Everyone took fewer minutes. You have top lines that are not playing 25 minutes a night or whatever it was before that. So I think that skill-wise, Jason Robertson's right up there in the top 5, and I think that 6 is probably good just because they go off of the stats from last year.
I'm there. I think when he plays his complete game, for me, it's when you start cracking the top 10, it's not just about points. It's about other things, who you play against, time and score, special teams, all of that comes into play. And I think for Jason, he's a big kid. I don't think you realize until you stand. I was standing at one of these where we were in, I don't know, I think it was a Belfort or I don't know, somebody was going into something and I was standing behind him. I'm like, holy shit, this kid, he's a big kid, he's a tall kid.
Had
so
to be the Hall of Fame
could have
ceremony
been
last year, right?
Yeah, it could have been that,
Yeah.
where they were all at and kind of
Because that was Eddie was one of the inductees last year.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was Hatch or whoever it was, but it was just all the guys were there, and Pete made sure that these guys were all there. It was a great thing what the organization did, but he's a big kid, and I think I would like him to be a little bit heavier at times, but again, not everybody's like that. But I think when you start cracking the top 10 in the NHL, it's saying a lot. And I think there's a lot of players out there that can be 30, 40, 30, 35 goal scorers, but still have a bit of an edge to them. They're good penalty killers. They're all around. So not that he doesn't deserve where they've got him there. I just think there may be a couple more guys that you could probably slot in there.
Okay, so top 5, as they have it, are number 1, Nikita Kucherov, who is one of my favorite players currently to watch. I love the way he plays. You talk about players that bring you joy as a fan. Kucherov is the top of my list. Obviously, McDavid, McKinnon, they're unbelievable. They're both centers. But to me, Kucherov's combination of flair, attitude, his skill is unmatched. I love him. But it's Matthew Tkachuk 2, Mikko Rantanen, David Pastrnak, and Artemi Panarin. Those are the top 5. Jason Robertson is 6th. Followed by Kirill Kaprizov. Of course, we all know that was a big battle of who's going to win the Calder Trophy that year. Kaprizov won it for Minnesota. William Nylander from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sam Reinhart from the Stanley Cup winning Florida Panthers. And Mitch Marner of the Leafs round out your top 10.
That's the other thing you got to look at. We love to say Jason Robertson, top 5 winger in the NHL, but then you look at who the other guys are, right? You forget. If I look at that list, I don't put him above any of those 5. Do you guys think he could jump any of those spots if you're looking at the rest of those players?
The season he had 2 years ago, where he set a new record in terms of Dallas Stars points, he had 109, 110, something like that. That to me puts him in that category. He had 50 goals, he's closing in on that. He had 2 back-to-back 40-goal plus seasons. That's really not easy to do. He is a natural goal scorer, but he didn't do that last year, and I think that's why he's not a top 5 right now.
Which leads me to the consistency thing. When you talk about those players that you mentioned, you pretty much get what you get every single night from them. And it's not easy to play 82 games in a certain way, but you know what to expect from those other players. And there's some other players, like when you mentioned Reinhart, guys like, I'm talking about people that are hard to play against. And when you're on the ice against
Brady
those
Tkachuk, who's behind him in that, but he's hard to play against.
Yeah, and you know what? He was kind of absent. They won the cup and all that, and I didn't think he was.
You're talking about Matthew.
I'm talking about Matthew.
Okay,
sorry.
I was talking
Brady
about
for me.
Brady.
there's too much of the yapping going on with him. I just think it's kind of gone over the top with Brady.
Balance, yeah.
Do you think part of that comes with being on a team in Ottawa that's not as contender?
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I mean, he wants to be a spark and all that kind of stuff. And I just think sometimes it goes a little too far. I think he's a player that when you play against him, you may be able to end up on the power play a couple times if the right kind of players play against him. So, but he's a young guy and he's got the C. And I think a lot of that kind of stuff comes with that. And you think that you have to do these things when you wear that letter and you're in a Canadian market and, all that kind of stuff. So I just think that there's some players that you mentioned, like I said, that when you play against those guys and when you watch those guys, you know what you're going to get every single night. Now, Robo, I think as he gets a little more into his career, he'll understand, the where and whens, because some of those players have been in the league for a while too, so they know the grind of the regular season and they know when to turn it up a notch and when to be playing at the right time of the year.
I was just about to give Robo crap for his playoffs, but he seemed quiet in both the playoff runs, but he has 18 points in 19 games in 2022-23 and 16 and 19 this playoff. So he's not scoring as much.
For me was Robo became more of an assist setup guy last year than he had previously, which I think.
Did he stop shooting for you? Like wasn't his shot? He's got that sneaky release. He's got a great release. I just felt he stopped shooting a little.
I think his shot wasn't going in as much. I still think he shot a fair amount, but remember their power play with Robo coming on the right wing, sort of that top of the circle in. They have Hintz on the left with Miro at the point. They want that coming. They kind of work it around for Robo so that they would sneak away and go back to Pavelski when he was on the top power play for that one-timer backdoor. They have options there, but Robo takes a ton of shots.
He did have 80 fewer shots last year than this previous season.
Yeah, there you go.
I just felt like maybe it was because they weren't going in for him on a regularity. Right. You normally he starts to defer a little bit. But I just think he's a shooter. I think he's got that gift I would be asking him to double those numbers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I just think that he's a goal scorer, shoot the puck.
Shooting percentage was 18.6, then 14.7. Last year dropped to 12.6, which is the lowest of his career. Yeah. So both of those things saw a decrease.
From the center perspective, Roope Hintz, as we throw that graphic back up, John, he was 14th amongst centers. They say 13th on the NHL.com. I'm looking, it says 14th. It doesn't matter whether the number's one off, because that's still getting an attention. But number one, they have Connor McDavid. Nathan McKinnon's number 2. Austin Matthews, number 3. Draisaitl's number 4, followed by Alexander Barkov in Florida, who somehow still gets the tag of being underrated, even if he's now a Stanley Cup winner. Then followed by Sidney Crosby, Braden Point, Jack Eichel. I thought he was by far Vegas' best player in that first-round series against Dallas last year. Jack Hughes, Elias Pettersson in Vancouver, another Vancouver center, JT Miller, Sebastian Aho in Carolina, and then Chicago's Connor Bedard. I know Bedard is a dazzling young player, but is he really better than Roope Hintz right now?
I think a lot of this is biased to points, right? Roope Hintz plays the two-way game. He's not putting up the 100 points that these other guys are putting up, and Connor Bedard does a lot more in terms of flash. He scores the highlight reel goals. We also didn't see Roope do nearly as many of those fly through the middle and beat the whole defense to score on a breakaway last year. So I think that maybe he could move up one above Bedard, but I don't think top 10 right now. I think it's a decent ranking for him. I believe he will be in that top 10.
So Roope had a hand injury that he was nursing through the playoffs, and I think it happened before the end of the regular season. For a center, that to me, he wasn't, as Sam said, quite himself, and I feel like it all came back to trying to deal with that because, whether it's taking draws or winding up your shot or anything, if your hand isn't at full strength, that has to be a real detriment.
It's one of the first things that come to mind when I think of Roope is injuries, because he had an ankle injury, he's had a hand injury, and
he got hurt in the bubble playoffs too.
I was going to say he missed a game in the bubble, and it was kind of like game time decision. He didn't play, which, again, back in the day, you don't miss anything. Whatever you got to take, you take.
Didn't he break his ankle in the 2019 against the Blues as well?
I mean,
before that game 7,
he plays he's big, he's strong, he's heavy. He takes a lot of punishment at times, so clearly, but you can tell when Pavelski, Hintz, and Robertson are at their best, it's because Roope's driving them back and creating space for Robo or for Pavelski when he was still playing on the team, and that's what really made them tick. As much as Tyler Seguin played well as the fill-in center of that line, Tyler at this stage of his career with his injuries doesn't have that speed to push guys back and open up space for Robertson.
On that list, let's take McDavid off the list because there's
some different list.
If there was another number above 1, that's where he would be. But for me, number 1 on that list is Barkov, and it's only because that is your true two-way centerman. Berge, again, Boston's had a couple of them. So I just think that Barkov, for me, is the guy that plays against top lines and he shuts players down. McDavid does it because he's got the puck all the time and he draws penalties and he opens up ice like you're talking about. But for me, if you want someone to be like, I look and, we're doing the positions and stuff like that. You build your championship teams and you build your teams up through the middle of the ice, goaltender, defenseman, and then you got a centerman. And so if you could take Barkov and put him in the center of the Dallas lineup and maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like now all of a sudden you've got Miro there, you've got Otter there. Hintz, he's not Barkov, in my opinion, yet because, like I said, he's a little more slanted to be that two-way kind of guy. So
is he faster than Barkov?
Yeah, but speed's not everything to me. Hintz is faster than almost any of them.
He's
up there.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what he is. And the good thing, and Roope's not afraid to take pucks to the net. There's some European guys that maybe, but he'll take pucks to the net more often than I would have thought of. So I love what Roope does when he's healthy and he uses his speed. And like you said, most important thing is he backs defensemen off, and it gives space for other players. So, but like I said, I'm a Barkov fan. I have been for a long time. Just the way that he goes out and goes about his business.
Yeah, and we can carry this over. We still have Miro to talk about, but first we got to talk about Sleeper. Because it's fantasy football season, as we know, and Sleeper is the very best to do it right. And we have a little special treat today. We can look at our producer John's fantasy team. John, can we throw that up on the screen here? First of all, I just want to say, look how sleek that is. Owen, you like that?
It's nice graphically.
I mean,
yes.
It's easy to read. It's quick. You can make your changes really easily. And I just keep hearing from everybody how great this app is. And guess what? I haven't done fantasy football since 2008. I'm going to do it this year just so I can use this app. But now, Sleeper aside, let's look at this team. I mean, this has last place written all over it, right? I mean, it's just, you got the New York Jets over there, which I know they have a decent defense, but it's the New York Jets, John. I mean, come on.
I don't see Jordan Love on there anywhere.
Are there any?
I don't see a single
Cowboys
Green Bay Packer
or Packers
or Dallas Cowboys.
You got a former Miami Hurricane
I don't see
there,
any New England
Njoku.
Patriots either, and that's a crime, John.
I mean, so
he can't answer. We don't have a mic for him over at his producer's chair. But
we'll have to switch that in. But John coming in last in his fantasy league aside, Sleeper is the best app out there for your fantasy football league. If you think you have what it takes, download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Stars to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Sam, a big thing for nowadays is making sure that you make the right hires. As a hiring manager, you don't have time to just wade through acres and acres of resumes, and you need Indeed. Indeed, they are driven by the search for better, and when it comes to hiring, they are the best way to search for a candidate. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed, which has your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. You can ditch the busy work, use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And it doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So it's not just about saving time, it's also getting the right candidates. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show, you're looking to hire, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. So you go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So we wanted to carry over our conversation because we still have one more position. We talked about Jake Oettinger last week as being the number 8 goalie in the NHL.com position rankings. number 4 American. Well, one guy we know is already going to be on Team Finland for the Four Nations tournament is Miro Heiskanen. That was a no-brainer. You expected him to be in that early list. They announced a few players that would be on each roster. Miro is at the tippy top of the Finnish defensive list, and he's 5th according to the NHL.com poll that they did with their respective writers. Top 4. Number 1, Cale Makar from Colorado. Number 2 goes to Quinn Hughes from Vancouver, followed by Victor Hedman in Tampa Bay, Roman Josi in Nashville, and then Miro 5. Gustav Forsling for Florida 6. He had a phenomenal playoff and really, I think, raised his stock because of how he played. And John's Charlie McAvoy for Boston is number 7. Where is Miro at? We're going to do another segment maybe next week where we talk about Miro and the Norris Trophy and trying to get to number 1. I feel like, Luds, that Miro's attention of playing deep into the playoffs the last couple years have really helped him, because I don't think the national media, who have the voters, the voters in the Professional Hockey Writers Association, many of the writers don't see the Dallas Stars on a regular basis. Now, we talked with Brad Alberts yesterday about they're on 14 times on prime time, so that's beneficial. But more of the people that need to see Miro see him in the playoffs than they do anywhere else. And I think he's gotten more of a reputation as being one of the league's better defensemen now than before because of that exposure in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's turning in more for me is when you talk about top defensemen to a Cale Makar. And what I mean by that, not the flash and dash and all that stuff, they defend with the puck. If you have the puck, you're defending, and you're not. The other team doesn't have it as much. So Miro's such a gifted skater. His mobility is off the charts, and I think he's kind of grabbed the bull by the horns, and he's taken more of an initiative to come up the ice. He's one of those guys. A lot of defensemen, when you're in your own zone, you get the puck and you want to make that first outlet pass. You want to get it going. Miro's the kind of guy that I would say, I don't want you to make the first pass. I want you to skate it, open up some more ice for somebody else. And he can do that. And he moves the puck well when he does move it. I think he can be stronger in front of his own net. But again, that's not necessarily his style. Again, we can create another reward for those kind of defensemen, what we're talking about. But he has definitely climbed the charts. His minutes don't bother him or affect him at all during a game. He can play 30 plus if he has to on a nightly basis and be able to play the next night and be able to do what he does. So he's a top defenseman for sure, and that's where I go again about building your team up the middle. And he's that guy that Dallas has. He's living up to the contract. When he first got that deal, it was early, and I'm like, but again, Jim Nill and those guys are way smarter than I am when I go, okay, well, you have the crystal ball. And I think the other thing that's important is he stays healthy most of the time. When you play a lot of minutes and you're a target and you're going through the middle of the ice with speed, he's durable.
Sam, I really like Victor Hedman. I think he has the combination of he can put up points, he can run the power play, but he's so big and physical like Lutz talks about. I don't think that there's another defenseman right now that can match Hedman's all-around game, because he has that size to go along with the defensive prowess. I feel like Drew Doughty is probably the closest comp, and again, he's getting toward the back half of his career. Of the guys that we've talked about, whether it was Erik Karlsson scoring 100 points the year prior, but Makar, Quinn Hughes, Roman Josi's a phenomenal player. But they're all guys that are more offensive than they are defensive.
They're tinkering with 100 points. Guys you're mentioning, they're in that neighborhood. Again, they defend when they have the puck.
They're driving the play by possession and scoring, not necessarily without the puck.
And that's why when you get into the playoffs and you play against different teams that are built a little bit differently, that play more in straight lines, those guys can be a little bit more ineffective than you would see them in the regular season, because again, playoffs are when you're playing for 2 weeks every other night and you're playing against the same group of guys, and they know how to push certain people out of the fight, and you can make it difficult. Those names will be circled on the board. The guys you're talking about, the Hughes, Makar, if you can catch them, you got to hit them and you got to make them pay. And you may take a penalty in the playoffs on the guy like that, but let's make sure he's banged up as the series goes along, so they're maybe not as durable.
Hedman even had, I was going to say Hedman's putting up points. He's big. He's got it all. He put up 85 2 seasons ago and then 76 this season. So he's still doing it. I just saw someone say on the chat that he doesn't belong in there anymore. Well, he's playing 78 games. He's putting up 76 points. He's plus 18. He's throwing his body around. What else do you want?
Adam Fox is currently 8th on that list for the Rangers behind McAvoy. And then, of course, you had those top 6 Forsling, then Miro and those guys. I think Adam Fox is a heck of a player, and he's so skilled offensively. Is Adam Fox as good defensively as Miro? I don't think he is. I think of all the offensive defensemen here, I think Miro is the best defender of that group, but he's probably
even
not
better
going
than Hedman.
Well, no, because I don't think of him as an offensive defenseman. I think of him as an all-around. Of the guys in front of him on the list, he's not necessarily better than Hedman, but of Quinn Hughes, of Josi, of Makar even, I think Miro's probably not catching those guys in points, but he's probably the best defenseman of that group. Hedman, the reason why I like him so much is because he can, as Sam said, keep up those points, but he also is just a punisher defensively.
Yeah, and those guys that you're mentioning, they've got some players on their teams that are all-world players, and so not only do they lug the puck up the ice, but they're giving it when you're playing with guys like Kucherov, and some of the guys in the Rangers, and they got some goal scorers there, so that's how their points get up there. So I mean, Carlson was the one. What did he have? 110, 115 points one year, something like that.
It was 2 years ago,
but he was a solo player. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want that guy on my team because he doesn't know how to play in his own end. He's not interested in playing his own end, and he's a liability at times when he's on his own end.
It's funny because Erik Karlsson is such a good skater, and he came off that ankle injury a couple years ago where it looked like he may never recover, and he had that great year. And offensively, why not make him a forward? I know that he's been a defenseman his whole life, but he's as dangerous as they come with his speed and his ability to play. It's just, you're right. I don't think he's the best player in his own zone, so it becomes an offensive thing. We'll have to talk about this more.
Yeah, I mean, those guys they're all great players, but they have to play on the right team if they want to win a championship. Yeah. You know what you're getting with that player, and we're going to put that player with this kind of player and it's going to be a guy that is a physical player, a guy that knows how to play a 2-on-1, 3-on-2, because your partner may not be back there to defend, and you have to just live with that kind of stuff because of what he can bring offensively.
So is Makar number one for you right now?
That's what I was just going to ask. Defensively.
I just, again, Makar for me, he does it with the puck. He defends, and very rarely do you see him get beat. I mean, in his own zone. He's so quick. He's got a good stick. He's a cerebral player. He thinks the game elitely, and I don't know if that's a word, but he thinks it very elite. I'll just say that. Is elitely a word?
I think so.
Is it? Well, if it's not, it is now.
Yeah,
it is now.
I would use it.
Okay, good. Well, that just says something about your rating. No, I just think that Cale Makar. Now again, he's got a good supporting cast too, right? So. But Makar, it's kind of like McDavid for me. I mean, it's a no-brainer to go out and when you're going to pick your teams and you pick your centerman, you're taking him first. I think Makar is that guy. Some people argue and say it's Quinn Hughes. I just think Makar has got an attitude to him to where you can tell he wants to win. And it's not about him individually. He seems to me to be that team guy that will do what he has to win. He can come out of his comfort zone at times to play. So I think, to me, Makar's that guy.
He had 90 points last year.
Yeah, well, was it second to Quinn Hughes, who had 92?
Okay, and was he healthy all year? Wasn't he hurt early on in the year?
He played 77 games only.
Yeah, so he missed, five games?
5 games.
He's got a career plus 108.
I was trying to do it myself.
Career 108.
108 in his career.
Yeah.
Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that with the addition of Devon Taves playing with him a couple years ago.
There you go.
That was a great move to get him out of the island from the New York Islanders. But that gave him a really nice compliment. Yep. But it still allows Makar to take the play and drive it. I mean, when he has the puck, it's really hard to slow him down. Yes, he has McKinnon. Yes, he has Rantanen. And they have some incredible players in front of him. But it's also Makar going forward. He's not just sitting back and passing and deferring. He's driving the play.
Yeah.
I do like Roman Josi an awful lot. And every time that you start naming some of these other guys, whether it's an Adam Fox or if it's Quinn Hughes or even Makar, you go, or Miro. And Miro's in that boat for sure. He deserves to be there. But Josi, for a lot of years, was doing it without a great supporting cast.
And he's a defender, though, too.
Yes.
He's not just an offensive guy. He can defend. He can get in there. He wins battles. And he's not as much as carrying the puck as much as these other guys we're talking about. Like, I don't want to call him one-dimensional either, because it's a good dimension to be able to have. But he does things on both ends of the rink for me. Josi does. I can put him up there higher too. I just, again, he's not a spring chicken either. But he had a career year. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, But another guy you'd love to have. Again, every team has got to have a player like that. It's just how you build everybody else around and make them all fit.
Yeah, he's 34 now, and he won the Norris Trophy in 1920, and I believe he's been a finalist
1920? How old is he now?
2019, 2020?
Oh.
No. 2019, 20. So the year where the pandemic kind of shortened everything. But he's been a finalist in 3 of the last 5 years as the Norris.
Yeah.
Again, we can get into that discussion later about the fact that I think you have to get into the orbit of the writers that vote on that before you can win it. So you have to sort of win it before you win it, to get sort of in their voters' minds qualify for it. But once you're there, you're always a candidate after that.
I'd ask Sam, like when you're looking at just your philosophy, when you're looking at a Norris Trophy candidate.
By the way, shouldn't you now, as a beat writer for DLLS, shouldn't you be a guy that has a vote for this?
It's a great question.
You should be part of the Dallas chapter.
You obviously don't know the answer.
I'm still looking for an apartment right now, so we'll worry about the voting for awards later on.
Here's the thing. If he gets a vote, this is the influence right here. That's one. Now, again, there's probably 30 in Toronto.
But I want to know, what are you looking for? Like, if you're looking for to select a Norris candidate, are you the guy that wants 100-plus points? Or
I'm an older school guy in terms of what I look. I look for overall game. So you have to be able to bring points, obviously, but I think you have to defend. Like, that's why I like Miro so much and talk about him so much, because his poke checks and stick is elite, top of the league.
And he's one of the few guys can skate with a guy like McDavid or Makar. Not many defensemen can keep up with.
Remember
McDavid.
when, I forget, it was 2 or 3 years ago, before the Stars had the roster they have, they would just put Miro on those guys, and he would just follow them around the whole rink, and they wouldn't score. They just would not score. So
there was one play in particular where he was against McDavid, and the puck had turned over. Miro was coming up the ice, so he turned it over, and McDavid had the puck, and he was able to pivot and just keep his gap the entire way. And I was like, holy shit. Like, nobody can do that with him. That guy can. What's a threshold on points for you if you had to pick like that part?
It's hard now because these guys are putting up just ridiculous numbers, but I'd say Miro's right on that line for me. Okay. So you put up 75, 80.
You're in the conversation.
Yeah, I think you're in the conversation. And for me, it's defense first, and then your ability to add to your team's offense versus
are we
points.
Supposed to rope a cow or a cattle or something like that? I'm getting
no,
this
what
sign
you need
over
to
there.
do. See, we're going to talk about Logan Stankoven and can he win the Calder in just just about 2 minutes. But right now, by the way, go to our chat. Do you agree with us when it comes to the position rankings? Do you agree with our comments? Let us know about that. But Luddy has to tell us about one of his favorite things, which is keeping his beverages cold or hot.
Sounds like a cooler?
Or one of those tumblers we had in the other studio the other day.
Speaking of tumbling, here we go. We're talking about Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best, like all of us do. Products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest of conditions, kind of like this show and our producer, who is asleep at the wheel most of the time. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. And let's talk about how light these things are. Unlike heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light. Then it's almost empty and you're ready to go to the liquor store again. You want that light cooler, then backpacks and then light ones to carry around. I'm speaking from experience. Making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. Crafted to handle the toughest environments, their coolers are built to last. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days. As we touch on the 7-day thing again, we are going to have to do some little research on this. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off. Getting better every day.
And 7 days. I can't imagine a cold beverage around you makes it
7 minutes. Yeah. 7 minutes. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
for a styrofoam cup for that
soldier to stand right there, you got to get dead in like 5 or 6 minutes. That's it. Bring on the troops.
So let's talk about FOCO. You get fitted with the best sports gear around: hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. If you're going to a hockey game or a basketball game, show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets, whether it's jackets, bench wear, or even overalls. There's something for fans for almost every occasion, and they've been doing it since 1998. I don't want to tell Sam what I was doing in 1998, but then Letty would look at me and say, let's not do the ageist thing again. Casual collection, retro collection, all of it. Old hats. They have NHL ugly sweater pajamas, NHL snuggies, but what do they have? They've got Craig Ludwig's bathing suit. He is definitely going to grab that at some point. We've got to get him. I don't know if we have it up there, John, the bathing suit with the Stars logo on it, but it is really there. It is.
There's that producer sleep at the wheel.
He's
again.
always got it ready.
They have set decorations. Foco has donated a few awesome pieces for our very set. So go show them some love. Check out foco.com and click on the link in the description below. Where's the description below? There it is. For all non-presale items, use the promo code DLLS10 for 10% off.
Foco.
So we've got to call a timeout here.
Do we?
Yep. You hear that ringer?
The phone is ringing.
Yeah. So we got to pick it up because it sounds like the phone, but you know what it actually sounds like? It sounds like a referee's whistle about to call a penalty. So, John, do you have the clip that we have to call a penalty on me? So, it's the Department of Player Safety, allegedly. So,
this is an urgent message from the NHL Department of Player Safety. DLLS Stars Podcast host Owen Newkirk is being placed in the sin bin for the following infraction: falsely identifying an NHL player's nationality. The infraction occurred on Friday, August 30th.
I think Wyatt's a great option, especially as Sam's points laid out about his age. I like the idea of another Captain America.
As stated in Rule 42A, Owen must sit in silence for 1 minute while Luds and Sam insult the sport of soccer. He is not allowed to address any topic raised during or after the serving of the penalty.
I feel blindsided here.
All right, so we have 1 minute to make fun of soccer. I think we need some rules.
Doesn't soccer make fun of itself?
Some rules. Let's not go overboard here. Ready? The minute has begun. I'm going to start it off because I want to love soccer, and I love the idea of supporting U.S. soccer in the World Cup, but they need to score some goals. No, I mean every game I try to watch, it's 90 minutes and it's 0-0 or it's maybe 1-0. How about some 3-2 or some 4-3, Luds?
It's awful. I mean,
I was nice at first.
I appreciate the fans, but shit, what happens? You play. I don't even understand the timing of the thing. The game's supposed to be over, and next thing it goes on for another 10, 12 minutes. Like, they don't even know how to keep time. They don't have to keep score.
Stoppage time on top of stoppage time, and then during stoppage time, when players faked injuries to try to get the time to end, then there's stoppage time that we can't see, but the official has on the field or the pitch. So I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Don't worry. You don't want to get it. It's like the plague.
There it is. You know, the hardest thing for me is to not say anything for 60 seconds.
Yeah, just in general.
Just not talking. So let's go to the infraction. You guys didn't call it out either. I realized it at the end of the show later on. I don't know why. It was going through my brain or something. And went, did I call Wyatt Johnston an American?
Captain America.
Now, I think, I'm not even trying to make an excuse. I think maybe thinking about living with Joe and having another Captain America-like presence. We were talking about who could be the next Dallas Stars captain. He's clearly Canadian.
He plays like an American, though.
He is an Ontario native. He played in the OHL. So he's not from the United States. But I still like the way he plays, and I think he could be a dark horse captain from that discussion the other day. But I had to call myself out. I said something to John. I said, I can't believe it. I think I called him an American. And then we realized that nobody else noticed. But
I can't believe you guys didn't call me out for having a broken closet in that background that I had all last week.
I didn't even see it.
That closet looks awful. Sorry, Katie. I know that's your closet, but
I think we were more worried about Sean having buckets of pens falling down on his desk.
I don't know what any of you guys are talking about. I apparently don't pay attention to anything because I don't remember you saying anything about a Canadian or an American.
That's why we had the clip.
I didn't know your closet door was broke.
So he doesn't get fined.
The big ass pen, I remember that.
That's
I remember that thing falling down. But yeah, for the most part, I have the innate ability to tune you guys out.
You're good
and
at
I'm
it.
just concentrating on I just stay in my lane and I just do my little part over here, which is ignore you guys.
Well, let's talk about hockey again. Logan Stankoven. He had about as good of a start as you could imagine coming up from the AHL, made his debut, and because he played fewer than 25 games last year in the regular season, he still qualifies as a rookie for this coming year, which to me suggests he should be a big-time candidate to win the Calder Trophy as the NHL's Rookie of the Year. Now, I know Macklin Celebrini is the big hot name this year, just like Connor Bedard was last year, but San Jose, I don't think is going to be a very good team. And I think Logan Stankoven, we talked about this last week, Luds, he could be a big part of trying to fill some of the void, not all of it, but some of the Joe Pavelski void, and put up some offense. And he's such a hardworking bulldog type of player. Do you think he can win the Calder?
I hope he's on that Hintz Robertson line.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's what we talked about last week. He fits in well for me.
He does, and he's going to be the guy that you love it when he drives the net. He's a guy that does that. He goes, he stops there, he shoots the puck. He is an energizer bunny, and I think in today's game, with his stature and his wide base, he's going to get and he's going to cause havoc in front of the net. Again, I've said this before. Like when you design lines, you have two guys that have that chemistry and everything like that, and then you have that third guy that does a lot of the work and he creates things and he digs pucks out. He's at the front of the net. He's standing in front of the goaltender, and I think that's what Stankoven is. We'll find out what they do on that line, but I think if you can start with that. So to answer your question, absolutely. And you play with those two guys. I mean, how many points you got? 70 points? 75 points? I mean, is that not reachable for a guy that's going to win the Calder, which I do think he will.
The one drawback
on
was
this team,
the puck stopped going in for him into the playoffs.
But when you play the way he does,
Yeah.
and they go off of him, which is where I thought when Tyler was having a hard time scoring there a couple of years ago, I just said Tyler, and he was playing on the perimeter. Now, again, he had some injuries that I wasn't aware of, and when you see what he went through, I understand it. But Tyler, when goal scorers can't score goals, they start to get further and further away from that. They look for more empty space. They want a bigger spot, and it should be just the opposite. Go to the front of the net, let one hit you in the ass, hit you in the skate and the stick that you're not looking, and then all of a sudden get an empty netter at the end of the game, have a coach put you out there, get you back on that track. But I think Stankoven has got all the characteristics to be that guy that will be standing in front of the net. He's going to get some ugly goals this year, I think.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's the thing I liked about it was that I remember we talked to Pete DeBoer during Stankoven's slump, and I can't remember the number of games that he had gone without scoring, but Pete went, that just goes to show I wasn't even aware of it. Now, I don't know if that's actually true.
Because he brings more.
Because he brings so many of the things you were talking about. He was setting up plays. He was going hard to the net. When you have a rookie that's called up during the season and he's going through a slump, and there's no question from the coaches that he should be in the lineup, that says an awful lot.
I mean, how many times did you think the other team was going up the ice and he just came in from behind, never gave up on the play, took the puck away, and it ended up in the back of the net? I think that he had, 5 goals in his first 6 games, 24 goals, 33 assists, and only 47 AHL games. We talked about the other day. He probably wins the MVP over Maverick
He was already
Bourque.
the Rookie of the Year for the AHL. I think if he had finished the season with the Texas Stars, he probably wins MVP over Bourque.
Yeah, and I think he's ready. I mean, they did it right. I think everyone knew he was coming at some point last season. They did it right. They sent him down. He played a ton of hockey. He showed that he can dominate on the professional level, and then he came up and was immediately successful and putting the puck in the net. But also, like we just said, he doesn't just need to put the puck in the net. He's going to be the guy to dig it out of the corner, make those back checks, and get the puck to hopefully Jason Robertson and Roope Hintz up the ice.
I think he'd be a good penalty killer, too.
He has not played a ton of games in the NHL, right? 24 regular season playoffs. Is there any concern? He's not your typical rookie because he has all this experience from playing at the end of last season. I think that's why he will have a great chance to win the Calder. But is there any concern of sort of this weird sophomore slump, even though this is his first full year?
I don't think he even cares about what happened in the slump or whatever. I don't think he cares. I just think his makeup, his mindset is he plays a certain way. And I think it's a player that knows what's gotten him here, what's going to keep him here. And you just mentioned what Pete said. He didn't even know he was in a slump. And the reason he didn't know he's in a slump, because he's doing all these other things that is going towards how to win hockey games. He's making a statement to the rest of the group, here's how I play. And because that's the way everybody's got to play anyways, especially in the playoffs. So I have no concerns about a slump with him, because I think that pucks are going to go in off of him at times when maybe he's not putting them directly into the net because of the style of the game that he plays.
What about the way he plays? Because I don't think that's been different at any point of his career. He's a little guy. He's had to play, with the, 3 times the heart that most of the guys have. 82 games at the NHL level. I mean, he did go through an AHL season, which isn't easy, but to play 82 at the best league against the best guys, and now they know about him, and so they have to game plan a bit. How does he stay healthy through 82 games playing that style and going interior like he does?
I think the biggest thing for me that I've noticed with him that will lead to that is his maturity. And as much as that comes into play on the off ice stuff, living with Joe was huge with that. But just since we met him, a few years ago as a prospect, he was just super mature and always ready to go the next step. If something bad happened, he was talking about what he can do better and how to do it. I just spoke to him a few weeks ago, and he wasn't concerned at all about handling the pressure or anything like that. All he talked about was just wanting to get back and play, right? And wanting to learn, wanting to take the next step, and always being the hardest worker is what he always talks about. And a perfect example is, I was supposed to talk to him, let's say 6 p.m., whatever night that was. He had to go and had an emergency skate, or had a skate that came up that he could play in. So of course he's going to go get that work on the ice. And I said, hey, let's do this tomorrow. I have no things tomorrow. I have a free day on Friday. Let's do it whenever. And he said, no, we'll get it done tonight. And he called me at 7 p.m. and said, let's do this right now. And that may be small, but like I'm just a journalist here that he doesn't probably even know very well, and he still takes the time, makes the effort to do it. And while that, he can't avoid injury, that maturity and that level of commitment to what he does in his profession will be huge for him.
He reminds me, and sometimes you don't want to compare players to, a little too lofty. There's a captain over there in Boston. That's who I think he is. And I think he can be a Brad Marchand. I think he is going to be.
Do you think he's going to have that edge that Marchand has as far as towing the line, or is it just the way he plays?
That's on a different level.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the style.
I don't expect
of play.
Stankoven to go lick anybody.
No. Well, you never know. I mean, we don't know. I mean, maybe he will. I just think the way that Marchand approaches the game, every single game, he is a handful. And I think that, but no, he's not going to do those kind of antics. I don't think anybody's been fined more than him in the NHL.
I can't imagine anyone has,
maybe
right?
Chuck's up there somewhere.
Yeah, but I just think that's who he reminds me of. Is a real young Brad Marchand. I don't remember when he started, but
around the same time as Sagan.
Okay,
and I think they came in together, which is 10, 11 years ago now.
Yeah, so yeah. I just see that style, and if that's who, that would be a perfect guy to watch, because I don't think he's going to be afraid of that. I watched him stand in there and get punched in the face, just by going to the front of the net. It doesn't faze him. Now, the other guy would stick you in the face. That's not going to happen with this guy, but I just think that the way he plays the game, his willingness to go into some tough areas, and it doesn't even bother him. It's like a little pinball out there,
He'll draw penalties too. You just said he's not going to stick you in the face, but he'll piss you off, right? That little guy coming in, taking the puck from you and getting a chance over and over again, and then just always being right there. I would throw a punch at him if I was there.
We talked about that hit that Jamie made in retaliation for the hit that Stankoven took against Vegas. Braden McNabb knocked him right off his feet. Seconds later, Ben comes around and just destroys Braden McNabb with a clean hit. There are going to be times during the course of a season where Stankoven takes that hit, but he pops right back up and seems to be unfazed by it.
He loves it.
Yeah. No, I just think that's in, like I said, it's his DNA to play that style, and it's kind of that. A long time ago, they'd say guys had the little man syndrome. He's just pissed off all the time, like you said, and he's not going to be kept down. He's not going to be denied where he wants to get to. And I just think that's the reason he's here. It's the reason he had such a good American League, stats and numbers and things like that. Because it doesn't matter what league. He's proven that. He's only been here for a handful of games, and he plays the very same way he did there to have success. Somebody got to him and said, "You continue to play like that, you're going to have a spot, and you're going to play." And now we're going to find out how good he can be.
And I think going to the AHL was really important because he had to figure out how to get his shot off in the higher pressure and traffic of a professional league like the AHL versus playing over in junior hockey. Yep. And I think that time helped him learn how to, again, it's harder in the NHL to get that separation in space to get your shot off. in the NHL than the AHL. But learning that, I think he took a lot of lessons, kind of like what we talked about with Harley last week, where he had to learn some things to get better to be able to perform at this level. I think that year, most of the year in the AHL was really important for Stankoven for those kind of reasons.
Yeah, and Sam, they keep a stat for how many penalties players draw also, correct?
I believe, yeah.
And I would think he can be up in that category. I'm telling you, today's game is so much harder to play because only from the standpoint of defensively, because you can't do certain things. The grabbing and everything's gone. The little cross checks in the back are gone. He's going to get into the areas and he's going to draw penalties. So I would look for him. I mean, again, hopefully he gets to play 70, 80 games this year and he plays in a good spot for him where he's gets the minutes, gets 20, because I think he's going to be a durable kid and hopefully he stays healthy. But I think he's going to be a player that gets under people's skins, and not because he's a yapper or sticker. It's just like he has this low center of gravity and he can get to areas and stay there. That makes it difficult to contain him.
Well, it'll be fun to follow that. If you agree with us, go to the chat right now. If you're listening to this later, let us know on the damn Discord channel. That's right. The damn Discord channel is going to debut our first segment on Friday. We'll talk about why Luddy's going to be a little bit farther away when he does it on Friday in a bit. But tell your friends, tell your fellow Stars fans, not only are we investing in Stars coverage, there's nobody out there that is currently talking Dallas Stars 5 days a week like we are. And we're going to have all sorts of things coming up even before the season begins. Again, daily content about the Dallas Stars during the fall when there's a lot of talk about pigskin, and rightly so in this market. But we have your daily hockey conversations about the Stars in the NHL. And, of course, you can become a diehard. Go to the alldlls.com website. Sign up for that. You get a free T-shirt as part of your subscription, and you get access to being able to hit up the questions and comments for Luddy's damn Discord, which we're going to do on Friday. And speaking of which, it's time now for Ludscapades. This is how we're going to end the show today. We'll get into the Leon Draisaitl contract. Seth Jarvis had an interesting deferral tomorrow. Sean Shapiro will be back on the show, and we're going to talk some of the numbers there. But, Luddy, last week we were talking about Miro, and you mentioned playing with
You
Sergei.
like that name, don't you? You're just smiling about Ludscapades.
I don't know if it's the name, it's the mustache, it's all of it.
It's just a little feminine for
I
me.
just like looking at you, lads.
Jesus.
So
'Cause
maybe
I have no idea what I'm going to say, too. I don't know what's even going on.
Tell us a story about playing with Sergei Zubov, because he's one of the greatest players in Dallas Stars history. One of the best defensemen. For a while, John Klingberg was racking up offensive numbers similar to Zubov. Miro Heiskanen is in that conversation. Craig Hartsburg with the North Stars had a ton of offensive numbers from the blue line. But to me, Sergei Zubov is number one as far as this club's history on the blue line.
And I think he was underrated from the standpoint of defending. Zuby would go into the corner in his own zone, and more often than not, he comes out of there with the puck. But he was strong. He didn't look it. He was a chimney. I don't know what his lungs look like today, but it got to look like one of them bad livers from a drinker, because they just I don't know how he did it. We were all amazed. But the best part about playing with Zuby is if I ever had the puck, and I was the kind of guy that, you got about the 1 second and a half maybe rule. Like if it's on your stick longer than that, you've made a mistake. You didn't get rid of it. I would give the puck to Zuby, and the best part was Zuby might not be able to see Madonna or Nui or Lettinen. He didn't have an outlet. He would look, and I'm wide open again because everybody's going to cover Zuby. He would look at me, and he'd just go, "No, I'm not giving it to him." He would just go do something else with it. So it was perfect. It was kind of the give and go. Zuby, I'm going to give it to you, and you go. Zuby, if you get it, just go. And it was that rule. But like I said, and he seemed to have the ability going through the neutral zone to pick up speed without taking any strides. He had that shuffle. And I remember a couple times where, Zuby may throw a puck through the middle of the ice, and very rarely out of 10 did one of them ever get picked off, right? And Hitch yelled one time, and it's like, "Fuck, you can't throw a puck through the middle of the ice." One of them kind of things. And I just went to the bench, and I turned around and I said, "Hitch, if he turns a puck over the middle of the ice, that's why I get to play with him, because we'll settle that 2-on-1 or whatever it is down. But he sends more people on breakaways." I remember there was a time with Hully. and Brett came back to Zuby, and he said something about going through the middle of the ice and goes, Zuby, I got to do this. He goes, no, just go where you're going to go. I'll get you the puck. And it was the same thing. So those guys just went on their routes. If they changed the route, the puck was on their tape. And then what he did in shootouts, he just, you couldn't stop him. And, so he's just a pleasure. And it was funny because after the game, he'd be the first guy with this stuff off, and he'd hit the shower right away. And I sit there and I watch him go into the not watch him. That's not what I meant. You see him go into the shower.
Closely watch him.
And within 30 seconds, you see the smoke rolling out of the shower. And I'd yell in there. I said, Zuby, smoking in the shower. And he'd stick his head out. I'm not smoking. I don't smoke. I don't smoke. No smoking. And we're like, Zuby, it looks like there's a 3-alarm fire going on in there. And so you can see it rolling out.
Didn't one of the trainers build basically an ash can that it could be like attached to the
he had a
wall?
beer and a cigarette back there. This is totally throwback. My first year in Montreal, I walked in the room. I worked my ass off all summer long to get in shape and stuff like that. I walk in the room. There's Guy Lafleur sitting over there for the first game, sitting over there. I get there. I thought I'm usually early, around 5 o'clock, so for 7:30. Flowers sitting over there. He's dressed from his pants down. Skates are tied. Pants,
This
pads
is at
on.
5 o'clock?
2 hours.
5 in the afternoon. 5 in the afternoon. Game's at 7:30. He's dressed from the waist down, sitting there having a dart, smoking a couple cigarettes over there. I look over to the right. There's Mario Tremblay, another wingnut, French guy. He's got a cigarette in it. And then there's Chris Nyland. He's sitting there. Nux was a head case, one of my best friends. He's smoking a cigarette. And at the time, I'm like, I worked my ass off all summer, and these guys are smoking before the game. Now, Zuby takes it to a different level. I mean, pack after pack. I was roommates with Zuby one trip for 2 hours. I got in a little late. Zuby was my roomie. He didn't go out. He was on his computer. He loved his computer, had the satellite phone or something like that. When I got back, his bags were all gone. I got up in the morning, going on the bus, and Zub, where'd you go? Normally it's me sneaking out. It's him. I said, where'd you go? I can't room with you. You don't come home. You come home late. You're not going to be, So he was that kind of guy, very to himself, but an incredible player. And he actually came back here for a little stint. They were going to have him do something. I don't know. And I think he's coaching over in.
He was doing some advising for the front office, I think.
Not very long advising. Yeah. They must not have liked what he said.
The two things and you probably told me these stories years ago that I loved was the guy, and I don't know which player said this, but standing in front of the net, knew if the pass was to him or not. If it wasn't on his tape, he didn't touch it because he knew Zuby was too good.
Yeah.
He said, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then
I'm telling you, he was a gifted player.
And then the other one is his philosophy on 5-on-3s. If you have, I think he said 45 seconds or more of a 5-on-3, you should score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he usually, and if the team didn't score, if we didn't score, it was because they weren't putting the puck in the net because he put it right where he wanted. I'm telling you that I've never played. Like I said, I started my first game, my career was with Larry Robinson. I played with Chris Chelios. I played with Hall of Famers. Zuby, nobody could do the things that he could with the puck.
We're 152 goals, 619 assists, 771 points in 1,068 games. But we talked about Cale Makar's plus minus. Zuby was a plus 148 in his career.
The fact that he could be that prolific of a smoker and then appear to not get tired.
Yeah.
It's like superhuman, isn't it?
Yeah, 26, 27 minutes a night.
I thought you were going to say cigarettes.
Probably accurate.
Maybe both.
But towards the end of his career, we're talking about the last few years.
Do you remember a particular time? I don't know one off the top of my head, but you played with him where that it seemed like even more than 27. Do you ever play like 30 or 40 or 50 minutes where it just seemed like he was never off the ice?
All the time. And he always had the puck. And the thing was, he's very elusive as far as getting hit. Very rarely do you ever see him get hit. Guys couldn't hit him for whatever reason. It doesn't look like he's going that fast. He just kind of floats through the middle of the ice. So, there were so many special things that guy could do, and everybody wanted to play with him. And the best pairing for Zuby became Daryl Sador. They were just an unbelievable pair together. It's the reason we went on to win the Cup is because the pairings that we had. Everybody was slotted in the right spots. And
why was Sador so important for him? Instead of you.
Well, because Zuby could give somebody else the puck. He could give it to four guys instead of three. Yeah, exactly. There wasn't an option missing. So, and Sid, Sid was hyper and a little off the wall every once in a while. But Sid, just brought a lot of energy, and he was a physical guy when he had to. He could get the puck up the ice, so they were a really good pair. Another pair that I think we were all really good as far as being hard to defend against. And Sid brought some speed, to Zuby, where Zuby could give him the puck and know that Sid would make another good pass. Unlike me, it would go up off the glass. So he had another option that he felt. So it was again, anybody that got the odd thing is the reason that he wasn't in Pittsburgh and they moved Zuby. So I hear from the horse himself is that he didn't give the puck to Mario enough. He had the puck. Mario wanted to start with the puck on the power play, and he didn't get it. Zuby kind of was setting everybody up, and so that's what happens. And so, which doesn't make sense, but Mario Lemieux's a pretty damn good player himself.
He had a great career, didn't he?
Yeah. So it was just and like I said, off the ice, he was business when he got there every day, and you wouldn't know it though. Very calm, laid back, quiet, just went and did his thing.
I'm gonna just give you a boost here because you talk smack on yourself so much. Plus 84 career for Luds.
Yeah, in 1,256 regular season games.
Okay. Do you remember the guys that I played with?
Just
Larry
saying.
Robinson was 110 one year or 120 one year, And so, and like I said, I played with Chelly, and Chelly, played 25 years. And so I had the luxury. But again, for me, it was because I knew my game. I knew why I was playing with certain guys so they could do the things that they did, and then we could defend it if they got caught up ice. And a lot of times they never did, but it's always nice being able to play with those kind of players. And that's part of the reason I played. I mean, I'm sure the coaches are going, well, he just seems like he's a good match for that guy. And now we got a pretty good pairing.
We need to have another. We're going to talk a lot about defense because we have a former NHL defenseman and two-time Stanley Cup winning defenseman. But we need to have a conversation about righty-lefty with Miro because I have a big feeling about that. But in comparison with you're talking about Zubov and Sidor, why I think Harley and Heiskanen have worked so well is because it's a two-pronged attack. You can't, as an opposing team, forecheck one and leave the other one unguarded because they'll torch you. And so that's a lot harder. I remember when Goligoski wasn't re-signed. And so John Klingberg and Goligoski, for all the criticisms of that duo not being hard enough physically around their own net, they were so good together moving the puck that it really shredded teams when they were trying to give pressure. And so when Goligoski went away, I think he signed with Arizona as a free agent. Klingberg had a lot of trouble because now he was the focal point. He didn't have that number two option. And Harley and Heiskanen together make it really, really challenging to pressure them. Yeah,
they do. And I think for Thomas, I mean, he's a little bit like Miro. Like neither one of them are a heavy pair. I mean, you're not going to get hit by them. So I would think that teams will talk about that, and if that's going to be their top pair, which you would likely think it's going to be their top pair, they're going to make sure that those two guys have to pay the price for when they get up the ice and, don't. And a game today now, when the puck moves off of your stick, a lot of players just, go and turn the other way. So, but I mean, again, if I'm playing against them, and you got a couple guys, especially one that's going to play 27, 28 minutes a night, they better be hard minutes. Like 10 or 12 of those minutes, they better be paying the price. And I think Thomas is now climbing up in that category. And we're seeing what he can do. And so you're going to make it hard on him. So it's only going to get harder for Thomas, but I think that the way that he plays and what we've seen from a young defenseman, you're going to see him get a good contract. And he's going to deserve whatever he's going to get, by the way. I don't know if there's been talks. Sam?
We're still waiting.
I haven't heard anything.
His agent has some more free time because Leon Draisaitl got his massive contract.
Now Thomas is going, finally he'll call me back.
Probably.
Yeah.
We got the cider.
Should we talk about that tomorrow?
Sure.
Little Harley and Draisaitl news. Sean will be back with us on remote tomorrow. Luddy will not. So let's tell our viewers and listeners where you're going because you're going to be remote on Friday, but not on tomorrow's show.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a plane tomorrow. We're heading to beautiful New Jersey.
Oh, we just got him out of New Jersey.
I mean, it's been raining here since I got here, so it's probably nothing different.
No, it's supposed to be nice on Saturday or Friday and Saturday or something like that. So our U18 or AAA team, Dallas Stars, major midget team, we're gonna go there. We're gonna get 3 games under our belt against the Hitmen, I believe that they're called. So they've always had a pretty good team up there. So. And we got all young kids, so we'll see how they do.
That's not that same area where I think it was Jeremy Roenick played for? Was it the New Jersey Rocket? Was a big club.
The
back
Rockets
in
are
the day?
there. They're good.
Is that's
a good
another
organization.
team, right?
Yep, very
Yeah.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
Rockets
But
are a good team.
He was playing for them back in like the early 80s? Was it early to mid 80s when Roenick was still a junior? I can't remember how old he is now, but anyway, I remember that as being a big deal. So
New Jersey hockey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get that and murder.
be careful, you're going to get him to say something nice about New Jersey.
Well, it does smell in
no.
some spots.
Depends if you're closer to the city. Farther away, there's some nice spots. So.
Actually, you really are kind of in New Jersey. I mean, you have no place to live. You're probably going to have to
You're still
camp
a New
out
Jersey
under the
resident.
bridge. You kind of feel like we're right at home.
So funny enough, and then we'll
He's
wrap.
just a visitor.
We need 2 hours on this show. It's too quick. But I have a Texas license plate and a Tennessee driver's license.
Oh, good
and I
grief.
lived in New Jersey the last year and then Dallas 2 years before that. So you don't really know where I'm from,
You're
Luds.
gonna get
I'm
all
a mystery.
the Texas stuff back together. You're gonna get that license switch.
I have
over?
to. It
Yeah.
expires very soon. So
Yeah.
once I get a place to live, then I'll get it. The proper
Tennessee
documentation.
license,
Redneck through and through.
Well, we're going to have some contract discussions tomorrow, whether it's the Draisaitl. Seth Jarvis had a really interesting one. He signed with some deferred money. We're going to talk about that with our resident numbers expert, or at least one that Luddy can make fun of with the math with Sean. And then the big man himself will be back with his first remote live, because we did a practice show when you were still in Wisconsin.
Oh, I want to tell you guys something.
Uh-oh.
I know we got to go. He produced. No,
You're ignoring John.
we're going. So I was telling Kim about this damn Discord thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking about Discord, and I said, "Do you know what Discord means?" She goes, "Yeah." I mean, why are they making fun of you?
See
I
the
said,
graphic? We got Luds versus the Discord.
"Yeah." What is that's a little bear, or what is that?
That's the icon. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Bear
So
or
anyway, she goes, "Well, that's easy. I'm either going to take Discord over here and plug it in, or I'm going to take Discord over here and plug it in." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's perfect. They needed to hear that from you." Yeah, that's
Wow.
exactly. And she wasn't even making a joke or nothing. Like, she goes, "That's simple.
We
What
got
are you
all the
talking about?"
Discords. Discords
Yeah.
over here.
So, and don't forget, we're gonna have a Discord party, aren't we? We're gonna have a
We
Discord
will
channel
have a
party.
Discord
Okay.
party.
we will.
We might even
Somehow-
get a Discord T-shirt.
Got to be some kind of contest to get these people to
Yeah.
come to that, because it's going to be a big event.
We have
Well-
John dressing up as the Discord mascot and everything. It's going to be fantastic.
Sign up to the alldls.com.
It's having a fit right
diehards.
now because we're about 6 minutes over.
We are going to do a Luddy and the Damn Discord channel segment on Friday's show with Luds live in New Jersey, and we're going to hit him with your questions, comments, you name it. So we had a bunch from last week that we were going to do. We deferred it to this week for obvious reasons because of our Friday show about Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, but we are going to have some fun with that on Friday when Luds rejoins the show. He won't be here tomorrow. Sean will be here remote. Sam will be here, probably coming out of his cardboard box.
Oh, lovely.
And, of course, John, our producer, will be trying to deal with it. Make sure to follow at DLS_sports and at DLS_stars on Twitter. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And we will be back to talk Dallas Stars tomorrow. For everybody here, thanks so much. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.